What if the problem is not you, but the system you are living in? Here we are, almost at the end of this journey. Thank you for staying with me so far. We have explored a lot, your inner world, behaviors, and the culture that surrounds you. Now, we are tackling something even bigger, the systems we live within and how they shape our experiences. So let me ask you this, have you ever felt like swimming against the current? Like, no matter how hard you try, it's like the way that things work around you doesn't really leave room for the way that your mind works? In this session, we are going to look at that, at those larger systems and the way they influence our lives. But more importantly, we will explore how you can navigate them creatively and authentically, finding ways to advocate for yourself and even change the game. Sounds like a challenge? Let's dive in. The systems and structures that we live within, like education, healthcare, workplaces, etc., and even societal norms, shape very much of our daily experiences. Systems refer to interconnected networks that govern how things function, while structures are the frameworks or the rules that provide order within these systems. They are designed to create efficiency and stability, but they are often built with a one-size-fits-all mindset. For neurodiverse individuals, and particularly for ADHD plus brains, these systems can feel more like obstacles than supports, as they frequently prioritize productivity and conformity over individuality and diversity. Systems and structures can be big and abstract, so it might be easier to understand them in relation to all the other concepts that we have already discussed. Let me mention first the way they connect to each other, and then we can use an example to make it even more clear. As I just said, systems are the big frameworks we live in, like education, work, while structures are the roles that keep them running. These are all shaped by the way society thinks, the paradigms, which creates the stories or narratives that we all consider as normal or important. Those stories influence how we act, what we value, and what we believe, which ultimately shape how we feel about ourselves and our place in the world. For instance, in the context of a work environment, let's say, the system will be the organizational framework of the company. Departments, workflows, hierarchies, and so on, including things like HR policies. The structure refers to the rules and tools in place, such as a rule for an employee that has to be in the office from 9 to 5. The paradigm is the company's core philosophy, such as promoting a hard work, team player mindset. From those paradigms, narratives emerge like, this is a fast-paced environment where only the tough ones survive. These narratives influence behaviors, such as working long hours and prioritizing work over personal life. And over time, they shape beliefs, such as equating professional success with overworking, and they emphasize values like status and material wealth. Finally, all of them impact our emotions, but in different ways. On one hand, if your inner world is fully aligned with all that I just said, then you're gonna be happy in that context. Whereas, on the other hand, if your inner world is not aligned with this situation, then you will experience a lot of negative emotions. I know this sounds like a lot, and it is a lot, but the point here is for you to have an overview of how everything is connected, so it's easier to identify what, where, and how to prioritize the work that needs to happen for you to start moving forward in your life. As this example, we can experience similar situations in every sphere of our life. When a system leads to rigid structures, it can create friction, in particular for us, ADHD plus individuals, because we often thrive in creative, divergent, and non-linear ways of thinking and working. For us, these systems can be deeply misaligned. They can create environments where we feel constantly judged, misunderstood, or pressured to mask our differences in order to fit predefined roles. There are many types of systems and structures that affect us in different ways, like hierarchical workspaces, standardized educational systems, dogmatic and conservative social fabrics, or bureaucratic healthcare processes. In education, for instance, the focus on standardized testing and linear learning paths can feel suffocating for ADHD plus students who often excel with hands-on dynamic or interdisciplinary approaches. Similarly, traditional workplaces tend to reward consistency and routine, which can clash with ADHD plus need for variety, novelty, and meaningful engagement. These misalignments can lead to feelings of inadequacy, frustration, and burnout. As the very structure meant to support us, they ended up ignoring and suppressing our unique ways of thinking and working. Systems and structures can be so ingrained in our daily lives that they might feel invisible, normalized, and accepted by the majority as just the way things are. But there is a thing here. If something works for 100 people but not for you, well, good for them. It doesn't mean that you have to accept those systems as unquestionable truths for yourself, especially when they harm your mental health. Hear me out. You are entitled to and deserve a life where you feel comfortable and productive in a healthy way. And yeah, it is possible. The first step is understanding the system and structures that operate in your life. You could start by identifying the areas where you feel friction or misalignment, and ask yourself, what aspects of this system feel supportive and which ones feel restrictive. By pinpointing these misalignments, you can begin to design personal systems that play to your strengths. For me, this process has been extremely transformative. Separating systems and structures from narratives and beliefs helped me clarify which battles I want to fight and where to advocate for change. It gave me perspective on what's really happening and allowed me to develop strategies for seeking adjustments in both my personal and professional life. Yes, even our personal life is influenced by systems that we live in, which is why clarity is essential for setting boundaries and asking for help when it's needed. In this context, advocacy plays a key role in navigating and reshaping systems. Advocacy doesn't have to mean grand gestures or radical changes. Sometimes it is as simple as having an honest conversation with your boss about your needs, or joining a community that understands your experiences. Collective efforts can be incredibly powerful, working alongside others that share your challenges and with whom you can push for systemic change together. For ADHD plus individuals, building or finding a supportive community can be life-changing. These spaces provide a sense of belonging, reduce feelings of isolation, and empower us to advocate for changes that reflect our values and needs. The key takeaway here is this. Like the other aspects we have discussed before, the systems we live in are not inherently broken or malicious. They were just not built for everyone. And the good news here is that means that we can improve them. By understanding how they interact with our lives, we can begin to reshape them. Whether that means designing personal strategies, advocating for accommodations, or working to shift societal paradigms, the goal is the same: to create a reality that aligns with our singularity, supports our well-being, and allows us to be authentic and thrive. This isn't about an overnight change. It's about taking small, intentional steps towards a world that celebrates diversity and empowers authenticity. As we close this session, I encourage you to think about the systems you live in, whether they are supporting you or whether they create obstacles. How could you navigate these systems in a way that feels authentic to you? As always, on this page, you will find exercises that help you explore these questions and begin to identify strategies for working with or around these systems. Take your time, and I'll see you in the final session.